I've been falling from something good. People say I took a little too long. Oh, I did, yeah. Oh, baby, oh. Till you came along and you saved me. You saved me with that good love. You came along and you saved me. You saved me. Ooh, with that good love. It's taking me a little while to come back. I've been working on something good. So every now and then I tend to fall back.
Hey, good morning. It's Gabriel, Sacred Awakens Radio. How's everybody feeling this morning? You know, sometimes when we fall in love, it takes us a little while to fall back, doesn't it? I mean, we're all searching for love, and then we find it, and then boom, there we are, right? I mean, love. What is love anyway? Well, we're here to discuss it. You found the right place. This is the Love Channel, where the sacred love within is sure to awaken within you. And speaking of which, I have a beautiful guest back, Miss Cheyenne Moore, or Miss Moon, as I affectionately call her. We're here, and we're going to discuss all things love. Cheyenne, it's great to have you back on.
Hello, beautiful soul, Gabriel.
I love you. I love you. Love it when you say my name. Gabriel, what a beautiful name. I've got to tell the story of when Cheyenne and I did not meet. You know, that's the great thing I love about social media is you meet these beautiful beings, and we've never met, but it all started when I started Sacred Awakens. My wife and I had put together this video, and we thought we were twin flames. And little did I know what the true meaning of that was, but in the video, we were glowing in love, right? And Cheyenne had seen the video, and she reached out and said, you know, you've identified as a twin flame, and I love that. And she wanted to speak to my wife and I about the dynamics of the twin flame relationship. And man, it seems like that's almost been a year ago, I think. And here we are. I am divorcing my wife, or she's divorcing me, and Shy and I reconnected, and she has been just a beautiful mentor, guide, coach, whatever you want to call it. And I'm honored to have her in my life. I'm honored to have her on my show, because we're going to talk about love, sex. We're going to talk about where we are, where I am. And the only thing I know to do is share my vulnerability, share my love, share my story. And Cheyenne, welcome again.
Hello. I don't even know where to begin. That really was such a great explanation of where we're going to go and even how we met. I would honestly just like to start out and tell you my version of the story, because it is.
Yeah, we all have our own versions, right?
Yeah, like it is pretty much like yours. But I also think it's funny that honestly, like one of my favorite topics to research on my own is sacred union. Twin flame is obviously one of the most popular things that people use to identify someone that they toxically just can't get over, is what I found. But there is a lot of like validity that I found over the years, and that's literally scrolling through ancient texts, and that would take all day. So I just gave like I have a couple references that I can use for anybody that doesn't understand what a twin flame is. Going back to how I met you, yes, you are absolutely correct. You guys were glowing on your TikTok. It was beautiful to see, and it was beautiful for both of you to acknowledge that that's what you believed your connection was at the time, or potentially still is. That's up to you and your perception, right? I don't want to take that away from you or your wife.
Right.
And anybody that I've honestly, especially in like my podcasting life and my research life, if they tell me like, oh yes, I have a twin flame, or I'm in union with my twin flame, which I think is a lot of hard work in the physical world, to be honest. I am enamored with the information, and I am honored that those people are willing to share that story with me, because it's not an easy story. It's not a Disney story. It's not a Cinderella story. If you do identify with the twin flame path, which I know there are a lot of people that do, it's not an easy path. As far as identifying if you have one or not, did not come on today to give you the top 10. Here's how you tell if they're your twin flame. Because if they're your twin flame, you know your heart's been ripped out of your chest in a way that you can't explain. But I would say it's more soul shock than anything. So it's a very deep conversation of getting into the soul and the ego and karmic contracts and soul contracts, which is why I kind of want to stay surface level on twins. But for anybody that does have one, does identify with one, they're not a soulmate. A soulmate is more like a very helpful, it could be husband, wife, mother, father, siblings, friends, people that incarnate to help each other together. A twin flame would literally be like the other half of your soul when we all left source. So one ball of light going down and splitting off into the masculine and feminine counterparts and going and incarnating wherever and whenever. Our human brains tend to melt when we think about what's actually out there past Earth.
Yeah, and let me just take this time for a second. Cheyenne and I have a lot to say, and we have a short amount of time. So you can find her, Cheyenne, where can they find you, so that they can learn more?
Safe Space with Cheyenne is going to be where you can find my episodes on all streaming platforms, including YouTube. I also have a Facebook page that I keep in contact with people. It's Safe Space with Cheyenne Podcast. And you can also find me on TikTok as well. And I answer a lot of questions on there. So head over.
So y'all are going to have questions, so reach out. Y'all know where to find me. I'm everywhere. I mean, not to toot my own horn or blow it, because Gabriel likes to blow his own horn, which is a great segue into where we're going with this. Cheyenne, what in the heck is a twin flame?
It really is the other part of your soul. I just think that the way that we have been taught, like what our soul is, we just identify it to the way that we look as a human. Like Cheyenne's soul is Cheyenne's. And for my research, we have something called a higher self or an oversoul. So this Cheyenne is a piece of what my soul actually is. So
there's another
the
piece.
Oversoul,
That's
yeah,
right.
the oversoul above you that's guiding you, along with whatever angels, beliefs, deities, saints, the Lord above, if that's what you prefer to believe in. Your oversoul is kind of going to talk to you like your intuition, because they do know what's best for you, and they are assigned to you because they are you. So my soul, I have named her to separate her in my subconscious, so I can tell if my ego is talking to me or my higher self is coming in to kind of guide me.
There you go. I've done the same. I'm pretty sure that my oversoul is, I don't know. He's not right in the head. That's all I know. Because
Well, the oversoul is technically, so like we're in 3D, and what most of the research will say, it's the fifth dimension and higher. So it's a frequency based on love and unconditional love, which is really what we should be getting into right now, is talking about conditional love that most of us have been taught, and unconditional love, which is what the twin flame journey is actually about if you identify with it. If you don't identify with it, you're not shit out of luck. Unconditional love has been talked to us through many forms of religion and theologies and philosophies through time and time again. It's the telephone of the most sacred story in my mind.
There you go. And I love that because, when I first got into this, I didn't understand any of that. I was naive to it. And now, yeah, let's get into that. I mean, the personas, the misconceptions, and let me, I did my research too. I know I just look fabulous and just jump on here and make it look easy and effortlessly. But, yeah, the getting into the fact that we're programmed from the time we are conceived in the womb until around the age of 7, we are in a theta state of mind. For those of you that don't know what that is, that's a dream state. That's where you're impressionable. That's where you're hypnotized.
Highly
Right?
programmable.
Highly programmable. So you're like a computer and somebody just decided to write a program for you. And it's all the outside influences and it's the false persona that we build based on traumas at early ages or what we perceive traumas. And that's where the ego starts to form to protect us. And so some of us maybe have one, some of us may have multiple personalities or, it's labeled that. I don't think anybody has a multiple personality. I've got several billion. But it's those little facets, those little portions of us that we create because we think we need to survive. And so as becoming an adult, when you start to wake up and you start to realize something ain't right, then we have to go back and dive into that and figure out how to deprogram us. Is that accurate, Cheyenne? I mean, is that...
Well, if you do get to that point in an awakening, congratulations. Because it is extremely painful to wake up from your whole life kind of being an illusion in a way, like how you were taught what to believe, any of the traumas that you faced before that when you're an adult, especially coming into adulthood, whatever that age is to you, you're like, I'm an adult. I need to act like an adult. So you're looking around for other adults to teach you how to adult. And then you realize that they're not adults either. And you're just like, oh my God, nobody knows what they're doing. That, like, this is so crazy. But nobody's talking about soul evolution, right? So when you wake up, it's when your ego is almost like suffered enough or accomplished enough. And it's like, why am I so empty? Like, I've gotten all these things that I want. This is so crazy. And again, if you do get to that part of awareness where you realize, oh, now it's time for the soul to evolve, that is a horizon line that is easily able to go, you can dive back down under and just go keep living your life, keep up with the Joneses, stick to your video games and your distractions, poker nights, whatever you would like to do, whatever. But there's a time where you wake up and like you see videos online where they say, if you put the glasses on, you can't take them off. And that to me is like the best way that you could describe awakening for people.
Yeah, and I want to dive deep into this. So, here we go, right? You bounce around, okay? And you go through these relationships and you learn and you go through these, or you get caught in these toxic relationships, right? And or maybe they weren't toxic, whatever it is, okay? For me, most of them were toxic. And I want to rush in and I want to save these women. And I love every single woman to this day, still. All of them, right? Because I wanted to save them. And then I meet my wife, right? Because I've been through the relationships. I was married before. But I meet her and it was like we floated across I knew instantly the day I met her. And I always told her, I'm going to marry you. I'm going to marry you. And then we were, and then that's when my world got rocked because she was the exact me in a feminine body. And she brought out the greatest in me. And she brought out I don't want to say worst, the darkness, the parts of me that I didn't want to face, the parts of me that I hid deep in my heart. Women call them walls. Yeah. As a man, I was a fighter. I wanted to fight everything, but I was also a lover. But I didn't know how to be a lover. I didn't know what that meant. And, when I met my wife, honestly, I felt inferior. I felt inadequate, and I felt judged, but I loved her. And here we are. I mean, I'm still going through it, folks. I don't even know, 6 years or something into that. I don't even realize. I don't know. But I mean, right, Cheyenne? I mean, and what I've realized now is that everything I knew, everything that I thought I knew about me, about her, I've unlearned in the past 10 months by breaking down, crying,
Mhm.
breaking emotionally, physically, spiritually, everything. I mean, laying in the backyard in a fetal position, men and women, crying. My heart broke. My whole world broke. Why? Because I never mourned anything. I never truly understood it enough to sit in it. And when I say sit in it, fellas, I mean sit in it.
You
And
really do have to feel it to heal it. And that's not something that anybody wants to go through. I know that I was also on my knees crying when I had my first heart chakra expansion. And I wish that I could gift that and give it to somebody, just like put it in a bottle for you. The I still have a loss for words when I try to explain it. If you speak yoga and chakras, you understand heart chakra expansion, but to physically feel your heart break open in your body
it feels like you're
and
dying.
then it does, but it's a weird, like, it's almost biblical to me when I think about certain parts of the Bible talk about how you have to die to be reborn again. But so many people are so focused on the way that Jesus lived his life and how Jesus died and came back 3 days later that I think that they forget to apply it to themselves. Same with like yoga or Reiki or anything that you're teaching. There's so many things that we can apply to our own body and our own lives. And I think people kind of miss the point on that sometimes because they're so busy like being a warrior for whatever their beliefs are instead of being a warrior for their selves.
Death is rebirth, right?
Yes.
Death of love, death of hate,
Mhm.
death of fear, death of ego, right? And when you truly set in it, it it feels like die. I mean, some of you may not have died. I have. So you don't know, but it really, it's the most god awful feeling that you've ever experienced. But at the same time, it's enlightening. I can't explain it either. It's you're learning as you are suffering, or you're in chaos, or you're in the darkest moment of your life, dark tower moment, dark night of the soul, whatever y'all resonate with. Some of you may not understand any of that, but whatever the worst thing that you're going through, and when you go through it and you make it on the other side, it's a rebirth, right?
However, it also talks about societal programming again that we weren't taught full spectrum emotions to be appropriate in society, in public, or anything. So now we just have like a whole world full of, oh, yeah, mental health awareness. Make sure you don't, be mean to somebody who's depressed or bipolar or check on your friends. But it hasn't always been like that. I grew up with family members with depression that were shamed, they were embarrassed that they had bad emotions. So the awakening is for you to understand you are a full spectrum emotional feeler, but you are also a full spectrum emotional healer of yourself. I would like to point this out, and this is my opinion alone. We are dealing with frequencies and vibrations when we call ourselves healers, whether you study quantum touch, whether you study Reiki, whatever. This does show how powerful we are as vessels for a consciousness that we come from that's high above us and nobody knows what it looks like unless you might have had a near-death experience. But for me to imply that I have healing abilities stored in my body, I think would be inaccurate because it would not be talking about the higher consciousness and the higher energies that we are able to access and be the vessel for. So I also want to make that known when we talk about helping each other. Energy is
Yes.
as simple as having a good conversation with a friend. That's an energy transference as well. You don't have to go off the spiritual deep end. Like, I mean, I have in the last 4 years, but that's also a part of my path.
I haven't gone off the deep end. I jumped. And that's great. I mean, because I couldn't heal until I let spirit in. The only way through is within. And most people don't understand that. And what does that mean? Going within your own body, finding your soul and listening to it, and setting in the feelings that you ran from. As a man, I didn't love myself. I loved the world and everybody in it, including every woman that I'd ever done, because my father left me at a young age. Okay, ladies, a lot of men that don't have father figures, we have a fear of being abandoned. So we tend to push you away, right? And so we put up walls and we become these manly men, right? Me man, me fight, me, and we think that we're supposed to fight for you. And we think that we're supposed to fight everything of the perceived evils that are there. And we're supposed to protect our family. And we go out, we work, and all we want to be is back home in your arms, in your womb, in your vessel, being held, being loved, right? And oftentimes we don't even know what that is because we've never experienced it until maybe you came into our lives. And then that special someone makes you want to break down, makes you want to crawl through hell to get back to love. And to me, when I met Source, that's what it was, infinite love. And the one thing that I always prayed for was unconditional love. But what I didn't realize, it's a hard lesson to learn, because even today, as I speak, I still love my wife. I still love every man, woman, being that has ever hurt me unconditionally. And that's what you're not prepared for.
But I think that's where the journey begins as well.
It does. Absolutely. Absolutely. When you run towards the thing that scares you the most, you take away its power, and you take away the fear. You take away that abandonment, right? And then you become this thing that you never thought you'd be, which is the ability to come on a national radio show and set in your vulnerability, set in your power, admit that, you know what, I got emotions and I'm a lover. And, if I'm going to fight for something, it's going to be love. That's what I fight for.
I feel the same way.
Yeah. So let's talk
unconditional love, of course.
Unconditional love. And let's talk about that dynamic, Cheyenne, of that. I mean, because it's not just love, men. It's sex, it's intimacy, it's sensuality. Okay. For those of you that don't know me, that never met me, I paint my nails. I color my hair. I have earrings. I am, I joke. One of the things I told my wife when I woke up, hey, I think I'm the divine feminine, and I'm trapped in a man's body. And she's like,
we all
"What?"
have divine feminine in us. It's okay.
Right? But yeah, man, there for a little while, I thought I was a woman, on the inside. And the key to that is balance. The key to that is balance. But in meeting Cheyenne and speaking with Cheyenne, I've learned so much about myself, about how to embrace my feminism. I mean, I don't care. People have called me gay. They've called me all kinds of things, I don't care. You want to know why? Because I'm happy. Listen, I wish I would have learned sooner how great it feels to go get your toes done and your nails done and to have your hair done and to be pampered, and to feel feminine. It's not emasculating. It's emasculating
But
in
again,
essence.
that's the poison. That's
It
the
is.
poison of the collectives right there. You do not have to be a woman to get any of that done. And it has been sold to you that way, that it's feminine. And it's awful, because you taking care of your vessel, taking care of your temple, that is just absolutely standard. I guarantee you Jesus took care of his feet. I
Yeah,
guarantee
he
you.
had, yeah,
And
Mary
he had.
Magdalene watched him, and I mean, people thought that was subservient because of what we're taught, right? But that wasn't. I mean, that wasn't. I love getting my feet rubbed, and
Yeah, no, I think it's amazing. I think it's an absolute shame. I mean, my husband was the same when we got together. I used to have a nail salon. So even when we were dating and we would do like movie days, I would be like, "Hey, I'm going to give you a pedicure." And he's like, "Okay." And I was like, "Your feet are vital for your health and your whole life." I'm like, "There if you get something in your toe or anything, I'm like, you could end up with a number of diseases." And I think that's where the unconditional love comes in when you're with another partner. Is we've been taught, males provide, women have kids, they cook the food, like it's just the standard male female role. But there's so much that's actually left out that could benefit us whether we want to play those roles or not. Okay, I'm not coming here to dismantle masculine, feminine, or even weird fundamentalism that's hidden in every religion and every company in today's society pushing a certain agenda. I have just studied a lot of ancient civilizations that had a balance of feminine and masculine energy. Those were also the same civilizations that were eradicated by dark forces because, you sell more when people are divided. You know what I'm saying? So,
and that's
not to
where.
get too deep into that. Go ahead.
No, and that's where we are. We are a nation. We are a state, a nation, a world divided. And I want to get this in because this is the most important thing I've learned. In my research, in my spirituality, in my religion, where are the women? Where are the strong women? You want me to tell you something, fellas? They're not there. And so let me just tell you where I am. I am here on this planet because women deserve to be treated equal. Period. They deserve to be by our side. They deserve to be equal, yin yang, right? That's what I've learned. And I'm going to share this. I tell everybody this. The most powerful energy that I've met is a feminine energy. A feminine energy. I tell everybody this. What if everybody wakes up and the ultimate lie was that God wasn't a man but a woman? Because when it said, "Let there be light," that is the birth of light. That is the birth of light. And we honor our mother, Gaia, right? And our father, the sky. But we are born through a canal, right? And we come out of a womb. Out of the womb of darkness, there was light. Okay? So everybody, I want all men and women to think about that. Because as far as I know, I'm probably the only man walking around telling people this. The most highest being that I've talked to is feminine. Is feminine. Is feminine. Okay? I came out of a womb. Everything in Mother Nature, everything of nurture is nature. Nature is nurture, which is a woman. And if we could go around and honor that energy, and if we can not put it on a pedestal, but put it on the stool beside us, what type of world would this be if we came together and co-created love and light and peace and sensuality, and we stood together as equal beings? Man, that's a world I want to live in. That's a world I live in now. Cheyenne, I'm sorry. I had to get that out there.
No, you got to keep going. Do it. There's so many things that came to my mind when you said that.
Yo,
Yes, we are. To say that we should be equal, I don't necessarily believe, as far as like these are the traits that I bring to the table and we should bring the absolute traits,
right.
because then there's no evolution there. There's two people doing the same thing. But as far as what I believe energetically, like the masculine protects the feminine and the physical, and the feminine protects the masculine and the spiritual. So if
I
you
would
go
agree
back
with
to a
that.
lot of ancient civilizations, the seers, the wise women, the fortune tellers, the king's aid, whatever, they're all women because they are portals, not only portals for new physical life on earth, but they are portals in the mind's eye for the divine. They are there. Now, I understand that women are born natural nurturers. That's where when we have children, that motherly instinct kicks in right after the kid comes in. Thought it was a joke, had a kid, total truth. But women are also protectors. If you can even look like a mama bear in the woods, if you come up around her cub, even though you don't mean any harm, you're too close to her cub, now you're in trouble. That's a protector and a nurturer. There's a strength in women that has been oppressed and suppressed for a reason from a group or an energy of people I do not know and I do not identify. I can just tell by women that I've been with in the poisoning in both collectives that there's a division for some freaking reason. I'm not going to know the reason. I'm just going to tell you, here's a few things that I've learned to combat it and understand maybe why you could say like soul lessons, soul incarnation, whatever. But I do think that there is a source that is meant to keep the energies separate and kind of just like chasing their own tails. And I do think it has a lot to do with soul evolution, enlightenment, and getting out of a reincarnation cycle. But I do not want to attach it to a specific religion because these are so many different studies that I've done. So pick one and go with it if you would prefer. Now, when we talk about unconditional love, that's something that is not really taught. I know, again, it's in a child-mother relationship due to the connection of the birth canal and having the kid. But conditional love is taught like, oh, you should forgive this person even though they did this. That depends on if you have boundaries or not. Like, if you love someone over yourself, you're always going to be a sacrificial, martyr, people-pleasing personality. And that's not really good. That's something that you're going to have to figure out on your own if you are that person. If you are, there are ways out of that. Now, the reason I talk about doing your work on your own, whether you're in or out of a relationship, is because one of the things that I identified in my marriage with my husband, we talked about, do we have any regrets over the last 4 years that we've been together? And I said, I wish that I would have known myself better before I married you.
Amen.
And that's no offense to you at all. I just think that I could have actually learned a lot more. I could have supported you better. You could have supported me better, or we could have actually figured out if maybe we're actually compatible for marriage at all. Because every marriage kind of has their up and downs. The problem with the marriages is you're going to these older generations and they're telling you, oh, that's normal. That happens in every marriage. Just put God between you and him and you'll be fine. Blah, 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 blah. Like all of this old, just outdated stuff. Okay. So go ahead.
Or you grew up in a broken home. Mm-hmm. And you don't know what a marriage is. You haven't seen anybody stay together. All you've known is fight. All you've known is anguish. All you've seen is the downside of marriage. And so then when you meet the special someone and you're like, we're not going to be like them, you become that because of conditioning. Because you weren't loved, they weren't loved, and broken love. Broken love. You don't know what love is. And it's hard to learn that in a marriage if you cannot differentiate the two. And I like what you said, because I loved every woman that I'd been with more than I loved myself. And I'm speaking of my wife because that's where this all began. And because y'all have heard me set in my anger, set in my hostility, set in my hurt. And so today I'm lifting it up. She loved me more than she loved herself. And here we are, separated, going down that road because neither one of us could sit within ourselves and find out what our meaning of love was and to love ourselves. And now that I've learned to love myself, my heart has expanded to the degree to where the toxicity fell away. My ability to identify the toxicity. And let me tell you something. Once a narcissist, not always a narcissist either. So that's a stigma. Okay. People can come out of that, but it's if they can only meet you as far as they've met themselves. You could love them to death, but if they don't love themselves, they can only meet you where they're at. And so you need to be able to meet them where they're at. And so oftentimes we let that conflict destroy instead of seeing it as an opportunity for growth. And the man you hear speaking like this could not have spoken like this even a month ago. And it's through conversations like with Cheyenne, and quite honestly, I've had to be apart from my wife to grow because I couldn't have these conversations. I couldn't have this because of the jealousy or the stigmas of it's an emotional cheating or it's emotional abandonment. And it's not, because, when I have eyes for a woman, I only have eyes for her. My whole essence belongs to her. I don't ever want to do anything to jeopardize that. But because of my conditioning, I was ending up doing it anyway. Because like Cheyenne said, I didn't know what a boundary was. I was always the guy apologizing. I'm sorry, needy. I looked needy. I became needy. And I was not needy on the inside. Now I'm confident, and Cheyenne, excellent point. I'm sorry I took over that. Go ahead.
You're fine. To make a point to what you said, if it makes you feel any better, a high percentage of all of the humans running around the world are little children dressed up as adults. Because again, we've been fed it that it's in the past, you can't change it, and you can't do anything about it. So for the rest of this conversation, host, listeners, anybody that's focusing on this, we are going to be speaking from a soul perspective. So it's like a higher self coming in, so you can understand and get a different perspective that we're more than the physical bodies, right? Because this is where the energy conversation comes in that I really hope we've prepared people enough for. Yes, you can have an awakening. Yes, you are going to face all of your traumas worse than an ayahuasca trip or a combo trip. Okay.
Or DMT, any form of DMT,
Yeah,
or drug.
anything like that, except for when you are sober having an awakening, you're like, oh my gosh, what is going on? But that's when you finally realize that you are a multi-dimensional energetic being experiencing a human experience.
God, I love that. Yes.
Now that we all know that that's how powerful we are playing pretend. These meat sacks that we're stuck in, you're going freaking crazy because you are not from Earth. You were born on Earth, okay? You come from the heavens. You come from the 12th dimension. You come from universal love. You come from unconditional love. You come from God, source, Christ, creation, whatever you need to call. Whatever your highest power is, that's where you come from. But in my belief system, we all come from the same ball of light, which is God for most people that I talk to. I'm just going to call it source energy so you understand. And I need you to build this in your mind with me, because when that energy split off from source is still here. Source is splitting off pieces of itself. So this heart, this little light of yours that they taught all of us to sing over and over and over in Bible school, this little light of mine, that's God in you. You're not God. God is in you. You have an absolute responsibility and mission to live the human experience for God, not just in this incarnation, but you get to learn lessons for your soul evolution, for a whole other part of your soul's life that you honestly can't comprehend because your human brain is only going to go so far. Give yourself some grace, because we're still talking about energy bodies. Why do I need you to understand energy bodies? Because I need you to understand that we've been sold sex wrong. It's surface level. It's called a root chakra orgasm, which is literally where you shoot it out the bottom of your body. It's wasted. You cannot utilize that energy anymore. For all my science people, we know energy that is created can never be destroyed. It can only transfer and turn into another shape and go another place. Stick with me. When we're going to have sex with someone, when you're really excited to do it and it's incompatible and you know it, these are your traumas, your lack of boundaries, and your throat chakra being blocked in the middle of foreplay going, oh no, I don't really want to do this anymore. Because there are a high percentage of people out there that go ahead and go through the act when their body is telling them no, because your mind, body, and spirit are not linked up yet.
And then that energy, that's right, that energy jumps on you too. Yep.
Say it, Gabe. Yes, it's
That
the
energy.
hard drive thing all over again. Like, do you want my cruddy little virus files? I'm not talking about STDs. I'm talking about energy here, people. Remember, we're an energy body. We're floating around having this conversation. So open your mind a little bit, because for people that don't speak chakra or energy, you're just like, oh, that's crazy. Stick with us. You're here for a reason. I know you want to feel deeper. Okay.
You have picked up an energy parasite. How's that?
Yes.
And it's
Absolutely.
sucking the energy, and you carry that with you through every time you unite with another being and share energy that you maybe didn't want to. Ladies, men, that's that feeling where you're like,
It's lower vibrational connections that have been taught societally from dating apps, hookup culture, pornography, all of these things that are being sold to you that this is what sex is, to the point where if we look at like ancient texts of what sex actually meant to people and what it's almost like an energy harnesser for yourself. Like if you think of how much you outsource yourself, outsource your energy to the world, right? Like you're doing that when you're having sex with somebody. Not to mention, like the more that you like, the kinkier you need, you're draining your adrenal glands, you're draining things from you. Like sex is simply the merging of energies, which is done in love. If you love somebody's soul, you're connected to that soul, you're a frequency and vibrational match for that soul, excuse me. We're going to link up chakra systems, whether we're healthy or not. Have you ever been with a partner that just drains the absolute freaking life out of you? Yes, we're all shaking our heads
That's
now.
right.
We've all been through it.
Right.
That's because we're literally
The
pulling
walk of
out
shame.
your energy.
Yeah.
Yes, but here's what I want you to understand, because there is an opposite to this. I don't want anybody to feel shamed or like, oh my gosh, I've been doing it all wrong. Yeah, of course we are, because we've been taught all wrong. The way that boys are taught how to touch girls and the way that girls learn how to touch boys, it's just ridiculous. Okay, so again, let's go back to energy. If I'm going to give you a proper example, and I'm going to give you a proper example that you can actually go look up on your own. Because I am not the example for this, but I'm going to give you the best example I've ever found of sacred union on earth. I've been waiting to show this couple off for a while. However, if you are two people that have got your stuff together on your own, masculine and feminine, you have risen to the right frequency where you are able to connect with this person on a sexual level. These are your souls coming together, and you are honoring that other person's body because the soul resides in it. That is why you take care of your temple, and that is why you help the other person take care of their temple in a marriage, in a relationship. There are meridian lines in your body that are going to store emotion and store energy. And in Western culture, even in like massage therapy, like women, we know what no parts are on women, and male, we know what no parts are on men, where we're not supposed to touch. And if we do, it's a kink. Surprise! There's meridian lines running from the top of your body all the way down. And those things actually do need to be touched too. There are buttons in both of our naughty parts, is what we've been called. And we have been trained to not touch each other properly, because again, you're just going to get the root chakra surface level orgasm that shoots out of your body. Sexual energy is the strongest energy besides heart chakra energy, and you can shoot with breath work that through your body. Yes, you can. We're not going to get too much into it, but I am here for you if you have questions, because it is mighty powerful. Wouldn't you say, Gabe?
Folks, we're going to take this. We wanted to get deep into this, but I'm telling you right now, Cheyenne and I will talk offline. We'll do some TikTok lives. We'll do some stuff because, yeah, so Cheyenne was on TikTok and mentioned this, and I'm like, what is she talking about? Right? Okay, so just for the, you can harness this. You can hold your energy release, orgasm, climax, okay? And you can either shoot it out of your root chakra or you can shoot it up. Now, let me tell you something. This does take some practice. I'm not going to lie. Okay,
And
so
belief.
after Cheyenne told me this, I practiced and practiced and practiced, and I couldn't get it until I did, and then I can't even explain it.
Keep it PG, bud. Keep it
Yeah,
PG.
it's like every feeling. It's like somebody took all your erogenal zones or your meridian lines and touched them all at the same time, and they shut at the top of your head, and you leave your body. Really, I think I don't even know, but you're
activating your crown chakra with a higher consciousness that you came from.
Yeah, and
That's
guess what?
hard for people to understand. You can also manifest at that moment as well.
Exactly.
What do you want?
Exactly.
Ah!
Yeah, and fellas, let me tell you something. You can do it over and over and over. It's not okay. The release
you don't
of
need to do it over and over and over. Disclaimer: that could get addictive, and then
yes,
it will secrete you.
compulsion.
You need to use it with the right intention.
But I'm saying
before.
Yeah, when you learn this, what I'm saying, go ahead, Cheyenne.
Yes, really quick, because we do not have enough time to like guide you through the snippets and clippets. So
Thank
for
you.
what Gabe is talking about, I want you to go to Instagram and I want you to follow the couple. They are called Learning Cosmic Sexuality. They're going to teach you the proper ways to restrain yourself once you find this magical power within yourself. The second page that I want you to do, which is my favorite couple that is in sacred union. They've been married for 16 years. Her name is Lucy. I think it's Lamp or Lampy. It's Lucilampe. And she is a wild feminine coach and a sacred union coach. And when you read the posts of what her and her husband have been able to cultivate in their relationship by breaking down barriers and being vulnerable with each other, it is everything that I crave in my future for my relationship. And if you don't look at that and go, yes, I deserve to be loved that deep and seen that deep, that's okay. Pass along, because I also have Olivia, who is an amazing sex coach that I interviewed on my show, and she goes by Pretty Gypsy Dreams, and she is going to teach you from the Vita method. So the biggest thing I want you to get out of this is what you learned is not your fault, but we're in the age of information. You can learn whatever you want. You can go as deep as you want. And if you're scared, people like Gabe and I are here to let you know you're not going crazy. You're just waking up. Welcome. We love you.
Yeah, and I mean, we only got 9 minutes, folks, but you can see how passionate we are, because where I was going with this is a lot of us are taught that sex is just simply is us getting together and then exchanging the fluids. And
just the physical body.
Yeah, it's not that. It's being vulnerable in the moment, trusting your partner, being willing to learn. And men, just so you'll know, that little area that she referenced is called the clitoral hood, and it goes all throughout the lower extremities of her body. So
there's
just
like 8 buttons on a woman.
Yeah, and I like to touch them all.
Google yoni massage.
Yes, yoni massage.
YONI. Yoni massage. Just look at a diagram of it and you understand that you gentlemen alone were not taught vaginas properly, and we don't blame you. But we want the men who would really like to step up and learn. Like, we're here for you.
Yeah.
We love you.
And I'm here for it too, because let me tell you something that you might not know, men. The first button you need to push is in a woman's head, right? By talking to her, nurturing her, speaking kindly to her, learning to talk her love language. And I know that the book says there's like 7, but there's like not. There's more, right? Is honoring her. It's the buildup. It starts when the time you wake up in the morning until the time you get to touch her in the evening, right? So, there's foreplay, there's afterplay, and all of them are vital in that. And in that union, when you're with the right person, that release of emotion, feeling, love, gratitude, of being in the moment. And that's what life is about. Let me tell you something. Right here and now, we're changing the future because we're in this moment. And so whether you believe anything we're saying or not, life is about living in the moment and embracing that, whatever it may be. And when you can do that as an individual, and they can do it as an individual, and then you come together, I mean, that's like Adam and Eve. Atom, A-T-O-M, right? Eve, electron. You come together, and that power, that positive energy creates something. And when you both can climax that energy at the same time, think about how creative that can be. Think about how manifesting that can be. right? You're over here manifesting, she's over here manifesting, or he, or both. Look, listen, I support all unions, by the way. Okay, God doesn't make a mistake. So I don't care what part you have or who you love, man on man, woman on woman, whatever, right? It doesn't matter. It's all about love. And when you focus and you harness that in the right direction, how do you think children are born? They're thought first, right? So as soon as you think about it, my wife and I named our child Summit. Summit's floating around up there waiting to be born somewhere, right? If not to us, to somebody. It's already been created. But when you come together in that union, that physical union, and then you release, you've taken action on that manifestation and you've created something. Sorry, Cheyenne. That's just the way I perceive
You
it.
don't have to apologize. Everything you're saying is wonderful and it's absolutely correct. There's, I mean, there's so many ways that you can go about researching this. And I let you know, again, I'm not an expert in any field. These are all the things that I've learned on my own journey. And I just realized that I'm not the only one that realizes that both of our collectives were poisoned. There's a separation for a reason. I'm not here to figure out the reason. I'm here to help people and help myself and raise my family and give Cheyenne's incarnation, speaking from an oversoul perspective, give Cheyenne's incarnation the best shot that I can and do the things that I came to learn on top of enjoying the human experience. It just so happens that I, in my 30s, am now coming into what I realized I've needed to do my whole life, which was to write and speak and help people and heal myself and help heal others through what most people would call God's love, but I don't identify the God that I believe in with any religion. So just the highest form of unconditional love that you can imagine. That is who I work for. That's who I love. And if you happen to be a follower of Odin or pagan or whatever you believe, well, I love you too. And I think your beliefs are amazing. And you almost had me if I wouldn't have met that unconditional love one day. I don't have an identifier for who I work for. It's not a male or a female in the sky. I think it's a collective consciousness of energy. And us as humans, we need other things to look like humans to us out there, right? So we can identify with them. I'm okay with understanding that I'm a soul living a human experience. And the suffering is a part of my soul's evolution. So I really try to confront everything with love the best I can, but I do fail often. But the point is I get right back up and I keep going because I know why I'm here. And it's to meet people like you and have these conversations and just plant the seeds. I'm not trying to run anybody's thought process or beliefs. I'm just here to give an alternative perspective and show you that you have been taught wrong and you do deserve more.
Thank you. And let's, we've got 3 minutes left. Everything starts with communication, open, honest communication. We were taught how not to communicate. And, my dream in life was always to have a voice. And here I am on the radio with a voice. And my power in that is sharing my vulnerability, sharing the fact that I still don't have it all figured out. And one of my favorite names for source is I am. Right now, I am who I am. I am where I am supposed to be. I am having a conversation with a beautiful soul that came into my life and that I've never met, but I love her as much as I've loved people that I've met physically. And I'm open to learning. I'm open to listening. I'm open to the exchange of energy. And when you meet somebody and you exchange energy and it's equal exchange of energy, man, you can create some amazing conversations, some amazing realities. You can create things that have never been created before. And today in this conversation, if we create nothing else, then maybe we've created a moment that you can at least realize that you're constantly creating yourself, because if you are I am, then I am is always where it's supposed to be. And I am is always looking out for you. And I am overwhelmed at the relationship that I have with so many beings on this planet. And then I get an opportunity to share it here on the show as we're wrapping up. And we're going to take this offline. And I have a feeling that Cheyenne's going to come back on and we're going to get back into this, because I think that this is what we need to discuss. Is we're all here living different worlds, but when we come together, we create one world, because we're all one. We're all uniquely individual. Cheyenne, take us out. Is this, Gary Clark Jr., man? What a
let's
loving
just all
song.
dance. If you're driving, be careful. I love all of you. Come over to the safe space. Let us know what you're into.
And I will be joining.
Too.
Yeah, I'll be joining Cheyenne on a safe space, because you know what? I found one of the safest spaces to be is in a woman's heart and in my heart. And we all have a heart. We're all just trying to find out what that means, because each and every one of us, we're all here. We all have got that little crystal of God within us. I'm in love with me, and I'm in love with all of you. Cheyenne, it's always an honor. I love you. Thank you.
I feel the same. Love you, Gabe.
Y'all check us out. Y'all have a blessed day. One love.
One love.
That was awesome. Yeah, I thought it was good.